on an all-new Dr. Phil.
If our marriage can't be fixed on the show, I am ready to divorce next week.
No pressure on me.
With a marriage at stake.
The night I went to Mark's house, I think he had a woman in there.
It didn't happen.
You've got text messages to prove it.
The clock.
This door was open, so you think that somebody went running out this back door.
Is ticking.
I said, let me in the house, and he wouldn't let me in.
Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
I try to be an emotional compass and point you in the right direction.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you. You know, marriage is a commitment that should never be entered into lightly, right? If you love someone, take the time to get to know them. I mean, really know them. Far too often, couples are on an emotional love high. They rush into marriage without thinking about the long term. For many, the hard work of keeping a marriage alive and thriving is just too much to handle. And in this age of everything and everyone being expendable, the first thought that comes to mind is often divorce. Ending a marriage is not always the solution, and for some, divorce is nothing more than changing one set of problems for a whole new set of problems. My guests today, Vicki and Mark, are at a crossroads in their marriage. Vicki has filed to terminate their marriage, and their final divorce hearing is next week. The clock is ticking. Can this marriage be saved before the final divorce papers are signed? Vicki says straight up, if Dr. Phil can't change the course of events today, she's finalizing this next week. No pressure on me. Take a look.
I had met Mark about 3 years ago. It was like, bam. Who's this guy? He's a good-looking guy.
When I first met Vicki, it was love at first sight.
I fell in love with Mark pretty quickly. Mark moved into my condo probably about 2 to 3 months after we met.
Probably about 6 months into our marriage, our relationship took kind of a turn.
When I first met Mark, he had told me that he made over $100,000 a year. I'm yet to see a pay stub. Mark lied about the amount of money he said he was making per year. He had his house in the country. Mark hadn't told me the condition of the home. I walked into it. I was highly disappointed. It was beautiful on the outside, but the home needed a total teardown.
I think Vicki's obsessed with money. She says she has all these bills that I don't pay that I don't even know exist. Vicki flies off the handle and she just flips out. She could be bipolar, can't figure it out.
I flew off the handle and told Mark that I wish I hadn't married him.
Vicki and I have only been married 2 years, and she's kicked me out of the house 9 times.
Mark has been very greedy, selfish, and narcissistic. He thinks the world revolves around Mark.
Her expectations are really high. It seems like everything I do for Vicki is not good enough for her. I can't read her mind. The clock is ticking on our marriage.
The last 2 years of my life have been the worst 2 years of my life. If our marriage can't be fixed on the show, I am definitely ready to finalize the divorce next week.
Well, Vicki says Mark is a liar and a cheater.
Vicki is obsessed with the idea that I'm cheating on her.
I felt that Mark may have been having an affair because Mark was texting a 21-year-old girl. I found the text messages. I was very hurt and devastated.
I am not cheating on Vicki.
Mark adamantly tells me that he's never had sex with anyone else or touched any other woman, but at this point it's very hard for me to believe.
She doesn't have a stitch of proof. There's nothing that she can show anybody that shows that I've cheated on her. It's never happened.
I went on the internet and looked up 10 signs your husband's cheating, and Mark hit 7. He was cutting his hair more often, taking more attention toward his appearance, not been as sexual with me as he had in the past, and buying new designer underwear.
Vicki is insecure. Vicki is very jealous and she demands a lot of attention. She doesn't want me to be around other people. It's gotten so bad that she has visions of me having sex with another woman.
I am convinced that Mark was cheating on me.
If I can't convince Vicki that I've been 100% faithful, I believe she'll go ahead with a divorce. I don't want her to divorce me thinking that I'm a cheater.
First off, do you want to be married?
Absolutely.
Why?
Because I want that partnership and that lifetime commitment and that growing old with someone.
Why did you marry this guy?
Mark swept me off my feet.
Yeah, what about him? What resonated with you?
He pursued me. He was very attentive at the beginning. He would leave flowers at my front door. He was always very polite. He was always very, he called me to check on me, make sure I was okay. He was great with my parents. He was great with my grandchildren. He's the best friend of my son-in-law. So there were a lot of reasons.
So he was polite, persistent, and good friends with your son-in-law. Your postman could have been all of those things. I mean, your mailman could have been polite.
Him. I mean, he's pretty attractive. I mean, and we had the sexual chemistry going there. So.
Okay, well, now you've gotten past the mailman, I assume.
Hopefully.
I assume. So there were some things, you had some sparks with him, right?
Absolutely.
Because if you don't have sparks, I mean, you have to do a lot of other things, but if you don't have sparks, then it doesn't matter.
Well, the first time that I saw Mark, I actually called him to fix a window for me. When I opened the door and Mark was standing there, it was just like, bam. Wow. I like this guy. He's cute. He's sweet. He was funny. Yeah, it was immediate attraction.
Is he still cute?
I think he looks great today.
Thank you.
Somebody's done a really good job. I mean, he always looks good, but he looks really good today.
Well, my work is done here. Thank you. So, but you do still, you still find him attractive?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Is he still nice to you?
Yes. Yes, he is.
Okay, and you felt sparks for her when you met her?
Instantly.
Right.
From the moment I walked in the front door.
Do you still?
Yes.
Okay, so you don't want a divorce?
No.
You don't want a divorce, even though she's kind of described you as bait and switch. You said, oh, you had a beautiful home in the country, but it was a dump. She said that you don't work very much, that you expect her to do a lot of the heavy lifting financially and all. Is that true?
Totally untrue.
I don't agree. I don't agree. When Mark and I met, my understanding was that Mark made over $100,000 a year, and we talked about this before we got married, because I watch your show all the time, and I asked him I asked him a lot of those questions, and I feel like I was misled.
You're very successful at what you do, right?
Very.
You do windows, right, for construction and
company.
You're never without work, right?
Never.
He's very much in demand. However, I have never seen one bank statement since we got married.
That doesn't mean he doesn't have work. You've kicked a boy out 9 times.
I don't think it was 9 times.
How many? 7?
No, I think it was
6,
closer
4?
to 4 or 5.
Okay, in how much time?
Over the course of the 2 years.
Okay, let's say 5 times in 2 years. You kick him out, bring him back. Kick him out, bring him back. Kick him out, bring him back. Kick him out, bring him back.
No, he comes back. I didn't bring him back. He comes back.
Okay, kick him out, let him come back. 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 What's the deal? Do you have a revolving door?
I feel like a sugar mama, and I don't like feeling that way.
Well, why are you doing? If that's true, I'm not saying that's true. This is purely hypothetical.
Yeah.
If that's true, then why do you let him come back?
Well, that's
if
a good
that's the
question.
reason you kicked him out, why did you let him come back not once, not twice, not 3, not 4, but 5 times?
Because I love him.
I think she does.
But you resent him.
Yes, very much.
Next, before marrying, Vicki says she told Mark to cut off all communication with an ex-girlfriend's daughter. Vicki thinks they were having an inappropriate, possibly sexual relationship. A few weeks ago, Vicki found a text that to her confirms the relationship is still going strong. And later, Mark says he will take a polygraph to prove Vicki wrong. That would be a huge deal. We'll find out whether he did and what happened. We'll be right back.
Vicki had found some text messages on my phone.
She's a 21-year-old girl. He was speaking out, texting her messages, I love you.
Does that mean I'm sleeping with her? No.
Tomorrow on an all-new Dr. Phil, a mother acquitted of kidnapping.
When they searched the vehicle, was there a gun?
There was a gun. She said that she would kill my daughter and herself before being caught.
I did not.
Which parent
Why'd you go on the run?
Because I feared for our lives.
is telling the truth?
She threatened to kill our daughter and herself.
You threatened to kill her.
Our daughter's
You
self.
threatened that we would not make it to that court hearing alive.
That's tomorrow.
The reason that our marriage is failing is because of Vicki's insecurities and jealousies. She doesn't want me to be around other people, whether it be friends, family, or other women. Many times when I've been talking to customers over the phone, she believes that I'm flirting with them. The woman on the phone could be 85 years old when I'm flirting with her. One day I was walking our dogs and a neighbor, which is one of Vicki's friends, came up to me and she was very jealous. She was crying hysterically and cussed me out for being around this woman. She shouldn't have been jealous. I'm just talking to people. I don't flirt with anybody but my wife.
Well, joining me are Vicki and her husband, Mark. Now, Mark wrote in because he is desperate to save his 2-year marriage before their final divorce hearing next week. I mean, the clock is ticking here. I mean, it's next week. He also says that for such a beautiful woman, Vicki is jealous, insecure, and has anger issues. Vicki says any woman would react that way if they found out their husband was secretly involved with a young woman who just happens to be his ex-girlfriend's daughter.
Vicki had found some text messages on my phone from a lady that I had known years before our marriage.
The girl Mark was texting was his ex-girlfriend's daughter. She's a 21-year-old girl. He was speaking out, texting her messages, I love you, I miss you so very much, I care about you. It was clear to me that he was flirting with her.
The text messages were completely innocent. She texted me and said, I have dirt completely up to my knees. I'm buried in it. And then I called her a dirty girl. When Vicki saw the text messages, she just went crazy.
I know what that means. It's a sexual connotation.
Does that mean I'm sleeping with her? No, she's been digging in the dirt.
He told me it was a father-daughter type relationship.
I say the same crazy things to my daughter.
My woman's intuition was telling me that something was going on besides just a father-daughter relationship.
Vicki's my wife. I never crossed that line.
I don't even know who this man is. I didn't even know my husband at all.
Have you already made up your mind?
Pretty much.
What caused you to cross the threshold to make up your mind?
It's just been a really hard 2 years for me. It's not the lifestyle I thought I was getting into when Mark told me to make over $100,000 a year. I thought, that's good, then we can work with this. You know, between you and I, we can handle it. But we haven't been able to handle it together because I've been handling it pretty much by myself.
You feel like you're a sugar mama.
Yes.
You thought you were marrying a sugar daddy.
No,
Is that it?
I don't consider $100,000 a sugar daddy, no.
Well, I don't think he considers you being a sugar mama either.
Well, I think he does.
No, I do not. Do you
Well,
really
then why
believe
do you
that?
take advantage of me, Mark?
Don't take advantage of you.
Yes, you do.
What's this got to do with him being hooked up with a young girl from his past?
When that came up, I just thought, I'm done.
Here's a text message between Mark and, we're calling her the girl because she's not here to defend herself, so I'm not going to use her name. She says, what else is going on? Mark, my pool is open. You coming for a dip sometime? Maybe watch the stars? I think it's going to thunderstorm a lot this week.
So he's asking a 21-year-old girl to come to his pool at night and watch the stars. To me, that's not appropriate when he's married.
Why are you having that kind of text exchange with a young girl?
It's a girl that's been in my life for 4 years before I knew her. And
Right.
that text message came...
Since she was 12, 13, 14?
Yes.
And what's your relationship with her?
Friends.
He asked her out for dinner for her birthday. I didn't even get a card or get asked out for dinner for my birthday.
That's because the year before, I received my birthday card at Christmas. And she scribbled out birthday and put Christmas.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mark.
Well, that's what you did. Did you not do that? So all I was doing was doing the same thing to you that you done to me.
I'm just saying that you asked the
Why
girl
would you not
out to
get me a
dinner
card?
and didn't even ask me out
Why
to
would
dinner
you
or
not
get
get me a
card for my
birthday card?
birthday.
Why would you buy me a birthday card and then wait until Christmas and scribble out birthday and put
Because
Christmas?
I like the words in the card.
You mean for Christmas? But it's a birthday card.
I like the sentimental words in the card.
But it's a birthday card.
I apologize.
Now, you explained to us that you're kind of a father figure to her. True?
Yes.
That's what he said to us.
I disagree. He says things to her that he would not say to his daughter.
Well, here's one of those things you might think you wouldn't say to your daughter. The girl says, I just dug up all the dead stuff in the flower pits in front of my work. Now I want to play in the dirt and garden. The girl. Everything is starting to turn green, and I love the smell of dirt. Mark, you dirty girl. Winking face.
This girl
Women,
and
if
her
that would
mother-
bother you, raise your hand. Okay. I'm just saying. All right, we have to take a break. Coming up next, the great country house caper over this same girl. We'll be right back.
When she showed up at the house, she come barging like a bull towards the front door.
You think that somebody went running out this back door?
I think there's some reason he held me at the door.
Vicki says seeing those text messages from the girl on Mark's phone was the last straw for her, so she kicked Mark out of the house. This time, he stayed out and has been living at his home in the country. Well, one night, Vicki showed up unannounced and did not get the warm welcome she expected.
Vicki went crazy thinking that I had a woman at my house.
Once I had tried to go out to Mark's home, he would not let me in. When I got to his front door, he immediately stepped out of the house and put his hand on the door handle and held the door shut, which threw off red flags in my mind, especially what had been going on with the text messages.
She just tried to knock me down to get in that house because she thought that woman was in that house.
And he kept calling the girl's name, and he said, she is not in there. He pushed me against the siding on the home. He was hanging onto the door, holding it shut. I was hanging onto the door, trying to push it open, and he grabbed me by the arm, and I said, you're a lot stronger than I am, and you're putting bruises on me, so let me go.
I was trying to keep her from going in the front door. She was trying to push around me and elbow me to try to get in the door, and I asked her, what are you doing? What are you doing here? It was like 10:30 at night.
After we struggled for about 5 minutes, he said, well, let's go ahead and go in. I went into the kitchen. The back door was standing wide open.
I did not have a woman in that house.
When Mark wouldn't let me into his home, I originally thought it was the girl he'd been texting that was inside. The look on his face was like he'd been caught.
Why were you trying to keep her out of the house?
When she showed up at the house, she come barging like a bull towards the front door. And I was just trying to talk to her.
I did not.
I just wanted to talk to her for a second before she comes raging in here.
Okay.
If I can't be in the other house, why can she just barge right in?
I had a diagram made of this house. Okay, so she pulls in, and this is where the confrontation took place, right here, right?
Exactly.
Okay, and then your theory is this door was standing open.
That's correct.
And so you think that somebody went running out this back door.
I think there's some reason he held me at the door for the first 5 minutes and then said, oh, okay, let's go in.
Where did this person go?
There's 3.5 acres on Mark's ground. They could go anywhere.
So you think she ran off and hid in the trees?
I definitely think there was somebody in the house. And Mark had just been to my mom and dad's house 2 hours earlier saying how badly he wanted to see me, how distraught he was, that he was so torn up. And my mom called me and she said, you need to go check on Mark. I'm afraid he's going to do something to himself.
Okay.
That's the only reason I went there.
Your car was here. Where was her car?
Her car would have been on the back side of the house.
Did you go look?
That's where Mark always parked. Huh?
Did you go look?
No, I was on a Valium and I forgot. I was so surprised that he met me at the door that way. I've never seen my husband look like that. I mean, he just looked at me like he hated me, and what was I doing there?
Because you called the cops on me.
If somebody asked me to leave their house, I would leave the house.
Because of text messages that are not what you're accusing me of.
But you said you stood here and fought with him for 5 minutes?
Yes.
But you forgot to go back here and look and see if there was a car back here?
No, I tried to get away. I told him, I said, Mark, let me go. I said, you're hurting me. You're going to put bruises on me. My husband had never touched me before like that. He was never mean to me like that before.
I did touch her. She touched me. You were pushing against me.
Mark, you put bruises on me. You were holding me so tight.
But didn't you just say that you were trying to get in the door?
Yes,
and I was
had my hand on the door the whole time because when he came outside the door, he held the door shut so I couldn't open it. And I put my hand on his hand and I said, let me in the house, Mark. Let me know that there's nobody in there because you know I'm already suspicious.
Like she's the
and he wouldn't let me in.
Why were you driving if you were on a Valium?
I shouldn't have been.
She took
I was going to bed, but my mom called and she said, Vicki, I'm so worried about Mark. She said, I think you need to go check on him. And I just thought, well, I'm just going to have to be really careful.
Well, as long as you were careful.
I know, Dr. Phil. I know I shouldn't have been driving.
Well, speaking of family, we're going to find out why even Vicki's family thinks maybe she's being a little hard on Mark. We're going to talk to them when we come back.
Mark immediately went to my family. He tried to turn them all against me, and it worked. My sister and I still aren't speaking. Mark immediately went to my family. He tried to turn them all against me, and it worked. My sister and I still aren't speaking. He tried to call everyone who was close to me and tell them that I was crazy. It's him wanting my family to think that this is me causing all this turmoil. My daughter Beth and my son-in-law think that this is my fault. My daughter Beth and her husband, they side with Mark, and I know that they don't support my decision to get a divorce. They say that I've dated a lot of men and nobody's ever good enough for me.
Vicki says after she filed for divorce, her parents, her sister, and even her own daughter all took Mark's side. Beth and Joe have been very, very clear in their pre-interviews with us that it's not about taking sides at all. So, guys, welcome. I'm glad you're joining us on Polycom. Do you think that your mother is being reasonable, or do you think she is being hypersensitive here?
I don't think that she's being hypersensitive. I have told Mark myself that I have kind of questions about those texts.
You said you think your mother can be selfish and self-absorbed. Why do you say that?
Maybe it's my own selfishness because I would love my mom to stay, where we are so that we can have a relationship with her, a closer relationship, or, a relationship with her grandchildren. And I'm just, I guess, hurt or torn that she would prefer to be away from us. Maybe that's my also being selfish because I would love for her to be able to be around us.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear you respond the way you're responding, because I think you know some things about your mother and her patterns, and she can't change what she doesn't acknowledge. And if you don't have the courage to tell her the truth, then she's going to stay on the road she's on because you don't want to say something that's going to get you in trouble. That's selfish. Vicki's sister Rita allowed us to record her thoughts about Vicki's marriage. She says she hasn't spoken to Vicki in over 4 months because she feels Vicki married Mark for the wrong reasons. Let's listen to what she had to say.
Vicki is used to being in control. Mark, the kind of person you can control. Mark married for the right reasons, but I'm not sure that she did. I think her age I think she's afraid that if she doesn't find somebody, she's going to get old and nobody's going to want her, and she's an insecure person. She doesn't look like an insecure person. She doesn't act like one. But when it comes to men, she has problems. And I still think it's because she's looking for that perfect man, the perfect house, the perfect life, and she's never going to attain it. I even told my sister, if you let this one go, you're crazy.
What do you think about what Rita has to say?
It doesn't surprise me. My sister's always been taken care of by her husband. I don't think she's been in a position where I have, where I've had to support myself. She's got an easy life. My life hasn't been that easy.
Listen, when we do these situations, we interview the principals. We interviewed you, Vicki. You were very forthcoming. You told us lots of stuff. We interviewed you. You told us lots of stuff. We talked to Beth. We talked to Joe. We talked to Rita. We don't just talk to the two people here. We talk to collaterals. You guys are collaterals. You're family members. You're people that are eyes and ears on the ground, because people come up here and they put their best face on it, right? She says she wants help. She wants to find a path to be happy. But what she wants is to be right in the moment. Amen. She wants to win this debate. He doesn't really want to win the happiness long term. He wants to be right in the moment. That's the nature of it. That's why I rely on people like you two, Beth and Joe, to say, okay, tell me the truth. Tell me what's going on. And don't say anything. Then I am no further along than I was.
I would just like to say that because I did have a destructive, I guess, pattern of life as a teenager in my early 20s, I feel like Mom may be doing the same thing.
Give me a list of things you think your mother's doing that are self-destructive.
Well, I mean, not saying in the relationship with Mark at this point, you know, is the first thing that comes to mind, since she's ready to, you know, take off and go ahead and divorce him. The dating, different, you know, different people or different aspects about them that maybe, you know, weren't good enough. Or, you know, in her mind.
You think she's bailing on Mark too soon?
I do.
You think she dates a lot of guys? You think she dates a lot of guys and finds fault with them so she can move on to the next one?
I know I heard her say that she didn't have anybody that took care of her, that Rita had it easy. I would say that, you know, where did this child here come from? She came from a marriage that lasted for many years and left that behind to go to another one, and then another one, and then another one, and then another one. Although those men were in and out of our lives very quickly, those other men, you know, here's one that is somebody that seems to be a good catch.
Next, I want to examine Vicki's question to me. She had a very specific question, as did Mark. We're going to look at those, and I'm going to dig in on whether this guy is in an inappropriate relationship with a 21-year-old from his past or not. That could be a game changer. We'll be right back.
Tonight I went to Mark's house. He kept yelling, "The girl is not in there. The girl is not in there." And I thought, somebody is in there.
Are you having an affair with that girl?
Tomorrow on an all-new Dr. Phil. A mother acquitted of kidnapping her own daughter.
Why'd you go on the run?
Because I feared for our lives.
She threatened to kill our daughter and herself.
You threatened to kill her.
That's tomorrow.
Be content and accept Mark for who he is, since I don't respect him. Is this a problem with me or him? Are we not compatible? I need to know. If it's not the girl, is it somebody else? Is there a reason why Mark believes he has to lie to me about things? Do you think that what Mark is asking for in the divorce is fair?
Yes.
So you had a long question.
Yes.
It was many parts. So I kind of reduced it down to the key, to the key elements. And then we asked you to give us 5 adjectives for Mark. You said narcissistic, greedy, selfish, liar, and cheater. That's how you described it. Okay.
That's
now,
how I see him right now.
Mark's question is, my wife is doing crazy things. Is it bipolar? Right? He's wanting to know, is it because of him or is it because you have a disorder? All right. And we asked him for 5 adjectives to describe you. He said smart, generous, controlling, jealous, and insecure. Now, we spoke to Beth and Joe. And with Beth and Joe, they had a question. Can Dr. Phil help my mom and or this relationship? And I combined theirs, and I asked for their adjectives as well, and I combined their list. They said you were kind, loving, accepting, hardworking, committed, sincere. This is Mark. And for Vicki, they said self-absorbed, insecure, restless, unsatisfied, prudent, respectable, and confrontational.
Wow.
Now, you said, how can I accept Mark if I don't respect him? And the question is, you are very suspicious of Mark, right? You're very suspicious of him.
I am.
Are you having an affair with that girl?
No.
Do you believe him?
Not.
You don't believe him. You think she ran out the back door.
I want to know if he's been with any other woman, because I could swear...
That's not what you said. You said you looked at the text messages. You said you got text messages to prove it.
The night I went to Mark's house, he kept yelling, "The girl is not in there. The girl is not in there." And I thought, somebody is in there.
It didn't happen.
Okay, so now it's just anybody.
Yes.
No, it's...
I think he had a woman in there. Would any woman think that? If your husband shut you out and wouldn't let you in for 5 minutes and then said, okay, go ahead and come in, and the back door standing open?
But it did not happen that way.
Yes,
it did not happen that way. It did not happen.
Well, that's where I get the liar part, Mark.
Well, who's lying?
You are.
Okay, you said, is the problem with me or is the problem with him?
Yes, I did.
Marriage is a two-way deal.
I agree.
And let me tell you, you own at least 50% of the problem in this relationship.
I agree.
He cannot control your expectations. You created expectations in your mind, and then when reality didn't live up to them, you cried foul. That's on you.
I did. Yes, I agree.
That's on you.
But you also say I'm responsible for my own happiness, and I was not happy.
You weren't happy before. You dragged that into the relationship. Let me tell you, you had a lot of baggage when you got into this relationship. It's like you've got those bags, and you pick them up, and you carry them. And you go to lunch, and you set them down, and you eat your lunch, and then you get up to leave, and you take them with you, and you set them down when you brush your teeth, and then you pick them up, and you carry them over here, and you set them down. And you decide, all right, I'm going to go over here and watch TV. And you go, oh, well, I forgot my baggage. You got to pick it up and take it over. You take it with you everywhere you go. Everywhere you go.
Am I carrying them?
And you need a whole string of bearers to haul your baggage. So let's run this sumbitch off. He loves you. You find a guy that does love you, so you're going to run him off?
I just don't know how to change my expectations. I have high expectations for the person that I'm with and how they handle themselves and that they don't lie to me. He texted her for at least 8 months, Dr. Phil.
He took a polygraph. I asked him to take a polygraph. I have not looked in this envelope, but I am going to open it after the break, and we're going to find out whether he is playing footsie with this 21-year-old or whether he's not. And if he is, I will help you pack for Florida. We'll be right back. Has your reputation been ruined? Was someone in your life out to get you and you desperately need to clear your name because you've been labeled as a liar or a cheat or a fraud? If you need my help to set the record straight and confront the person accusing you, go to drphil.com and tell me your story. We can't do this show without you, our studio audience.
If you are going to be in the Los Angeles area and you would like free tickets, go to drphil.com and click on Be in the Audience.
Or you can call 323-461-PHIL. That's 323-461-7445. You obviously have a legitimate question in your mind. I don't think anybody in America would just gloss over the fact that he's texting some 21-year-old. The question is, how far does this go? So I did ask Jack to come in. Jack Tremarco is a former FBI special agent, polygraph examiner who's conducted over 3,500 tests in his career. Do you feel like this was a fair test?
Yes, yes.
So I asked you that because sometimes I open this, it doesn't go your way, then people start saying, well, I didn't understand, or it was rushed, or I didn't get, they start complaining about the test. If it doesn't go their way, you got a complaint, say so now.
Yeah, no, it's my first one, so I didn't know what to expect, but it seemed fair.
Okay, so whatever the results are, you feel like Vicki could rely on these with a great degree of confidence?
Yes.
Whichever way it goes?
Yes.
Do you have confidence in Jack Tremarco?
Absolutely.
Okay. The questions were very straightforward. While married to Vicki, have you ever had sexual contact with the girl? We have her name in here, but for purposes of the show, I'm saying the girl. While married to Vicki, have you ever had sexual contact with the girl? Your answer was?
No.
We ask it a second way. After June 25th of 2013, that was your marriage date, have you had sexual contact with the girl? Your answer was?
No.
The results are that he was telling the truth. Jack, was this a close call?
No, Dr. Phil.
So, how do you feel about that?
I'm happy to hear it. He's been telling me that all along. I just couldn't understand why he treated me that way that night at his house. And I still don't.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
When we were back there, I asked Jack to add a question to that test.
Well, you can't do that.
I know he told me I couldn't, but I wanted to about the house issue, about the woman being in there. I asked him to add that question to it.
If there was anybody in there.
Yeah, if there was anybody in there. And he said he couldn't do that. But I'm telling you the complete truth.
Yeah, he volunteered for other questions about anybody.
That's good to know.
But that compromises the protocol, and you could do that, but it would have compromised the protocol. And again, we don't do that. Sure. We maintain the highest scientific rigor, and we can't do multiple issues. The boy's telling you the truth. To get real, go to drphil.com for advice on relationships, parenting, finances, and more. Plus, weigh in on your favorite episodes, share your stories, and find support in the Dr. Phil community. When you sign up for the community, you will automatically be subscribed to the Dr. Phil Show newsletter. Log on to drphil.com today. Let me just give you the bottom line. You're not ready to get a divorce. Are there some things that he needs to do better? Oh, my God. Could I make a list of things he needs to do better? Transparency needs to be better. Communication needs to be better. There are a lot of things that he can do better. You have some issues that have nothing to do with him, that baggage that you take with you everywhere you go. He's paying the price for sins of those that came before him. And for some reason, he's not running for the hills. Now, you two got married before you were ready to get married.
Yes.
You didn't do the things you needed to do, because I don't care if you're 18, 38, 48, 58. There are things that you need to negotiate going into a marriage. So what I'm going to recommend for the two of you is some premarital counseling. I'm going to recommend that you get a continuance on your hearing next week to get a divorce, and I'm going to arrange for you some premarital counseling. And in there, we're going to negotiate such things as what the expectations are on finances, geography, in-laws, sex, religion, cohabitation, division of labor, some really mundane sorts of things and some major sorts of things.
I think we need that.
I'll even arrange for you to do it at home. You know about Doctor on Demand, which is the company Jay and I have that we use with a lot of our guests here. You can do it right from home because we have psychological services within that company. And I will arrange for that so you can get on your laptop or your desktop or even your smartphone. You'll have a doctoral level therapist that I will handpick that will sit there and they will do premarital counseling with you. They'll do the therapy with you right there. You two can get close there on in front of your computer screen and you'll work it out. Are you willing to do that work?
I'm willing to do it, but right now I feel very estranged from Mark because of all we've been through. And I don't know how to get through that.
Well, that's why we call it therapy.
Therapy?
Yeah, that's why it's called it. That's going to help you with all you got to do is show up. And you can say that to start with. You feel very estranged, and that's okay. We'll start working on that. You just take one step at a time. I didn't ask you to go off for Hawaii for 2 weeks. I just said just show up for the first appointment. Yeah, just show up for the first appointment.
Yeah, we can do that.
I want to thank all of my guests today, and a special thanks to Jack Tremarco. Now, if you at home want your own Doctor on Demand, you can go to Google Play Store or the iTunes App Store and download the Doctor on Demand app, and you can get medical services or psychological services, either one. Easy as pie. We will see you next time. Give this a shot.